Hello and welcome to another episode of Talks with Phoenix. I'd like for you all to know that this topic is going to be a heavy one, and I want us to approach it from a position of empathy and understanding, especially to those involved. Today's topic of discussion is rape, and specifically male rape. The sexual assaults carried out on men. When we talk about rape, usually the conversation is centered around women because women disproportionately get sexually assaulted and raped by men and people close to them. So this is not an attack towards women for, let's say, being the ones pushing forward this conversation. No, rather I agree with the issues women raise about rape and the awareness that is being garnered around this and the support and help women get. I really appreciate that, and I hope adding my voice to this conversation about male rape and sexual assault would bring about the same conversation and help towards men and boys that are being assaulted. So, male rape, male sexual assault, what is it? Basically, it's the sexual assault that has been carried out by people, both men and women, on men and young boys and even teenagers. This is a breach of their consent and is as hurtful, harmful, and traumatic for men as it is for women. So this is a situation where we can't compete on who is traumatized more. No, we are all traumatized whenever we get assaulted, whether it's physically, sexually, emotionally, or whatever. Now, the thing about male rape is that it creates a unique conversation that is quite different from the conversation we have about female rape. Usually, oftentimes with female rape, we have conversations about victim blaming, where the women are blamed for that atrocity happening to them. On the other hand, for men, it's this weird scenario where the sexual assault being done to men is trivialized and made to seem as a form of conquest for the boy or the teenage boy or the man that it has happened to. It's made to seem like a conquest that you as a man or you as a boy cannot be raped because sex is your natural right. Therefore, if you were raped by a woman, that's not rape, that's just you basically having sex. And this opens up the larger conversation about how men and boys are being socialized to view sex. Because when sex is seen as a conquest, men go out into the world looking at women to conquer them basically for sex. But let's bring it back to rape that we're talking about. When you have a young unsuspecting boy who, let's say with his nanny or with a close female relative, then gets sexually assaulted, touched inappropriately, made to get hard, erect the boy's penis just to, sexually arouse this child and play with this child, that is a sick thing for that person to that boy child. And not just boy children get assaulted, no. Also teenage boys, they get assaulted. Teenage boys get assaulted, as do adult men. Obviously, the older a boy gets, the less this situation happens to them, because they then become more powerful, if I should say, to be able to resist these advances or outright rape of men. However, they can still be raped with rape drugs and other forms of, drugs that a woman or even a man can give this unsuspecting man to rape them. I won't go in depth into the intricacies of male rape or how it happens or not. I want to talk about the trivialization of this rape and boys themselves not seeing it as rape. And lastly, the effect it has on men in general and their relationships with sex and even just as them being human beings. As I mentioned earlier, male rape is seen as a conquest. It is trivialized because men, boys from a young age have been, socialized to see girls as, people they are to chase after, and whatever they get from that interaction with women, be it sex or affection, is just a sign that they have conquered a woman. Therefore, if a boy or a man from this perspective of conquering and conquest, right, gets raped, the script has to be flipped, because how could a woman have the power to rape a man who supposedly has all the power to conquer, right? So it has to be flipped that no, you were not raped. Actually, this woman desired you so much. She saw your virility as a man. She saw how powerful you are. She just could not resist herself. So she had to jump on you. And you in turn, you got hard and you had sex with her rather than you were being raped. And the interesting thing about this is that, for a man to, in a way be raped, he has to be erect. His penis has to be erect. So it's kind of like creates this situation where why are you going to say you're raped when you got hard? Because the typical sign of arousal in men is their penis getting erect. So if a man's penis is erect and the woman, has sex with him, it was not rape, it was just basically sex. But that's the wrong idea or conception of arousal. Our body is not always in line with our mind. There are things that you could feel, right? As if you're a street man and a young boy or even a teenager, or just a man, let's just make it quite simple. And a woman obviously approaches you and she's not revolted, she's not repulsive, revolting or whatever. She's beautiful, at least to some standard, and she touches you, she, does all the things to get you aroused. Of course, your body will react to that. However, your mind is a different case. Your mind is not typically controlled by your body. Therefore, even though your body is aroused, in your mind, you're like, no, you are not giving your consent to that. And this woman is doing this against your will. So consent also applies to men. As I mentioned earlier that men see sex as a form of conquest on women. That's why so many men are after sex, chasing sex, always wanting sex. And so we have kind of like in a way attributed all the connotations of sex to men and totally stripping women of this aspect of their sexuality, right? Saying that men are the ones who want sex so much that they can even cheat for sex, but women don't have that much desire for sex. But that's actually a lie. And we now have this situation where it's always about sex for men. If a man gets raped by a woman, they will see that as free pussy. Basically, we should be real with ourselves here. Men will view that as free pussy, that this woman just gave you free pussy, and that is it, that you should move on from that. And it gets embarrassing for these men and even boys who are raped to come out and say this, because not only is the experience trivialized, but they're also being shamed for not being able to overpower the woman. That's where you will see some cases where some men will be like, although they were being raped, they kind of overpowered the woman and then they took over. And then you see men cheering for them. Whereas they also have seen the insidiousness in that situation, that consent was not given, you were being raped, and rather than you having the power to escape, you continued with that act, basically satisfying the woman's wants. Okay, you can see how fucked up that situation is. And progressing on from that fact is that men always have to try and, when they are telling this story, have to always make it seem like they were not really helpless or powerless. They were in a position of power. They just let the man do what she wanted to do. But no, you were actually powerless. You were raped. You had no cognition of what you were doing, and you were just raped. That is just it. Recently, I saw this series. It's called The Baby Reindeer. Reindeer as in Reindeer. Reindeer, an animal along the family of the antelopes and gazelles. So this series, basically just one season on Netflix. This guy, he's a stand-up comedian, and he is desperate to make it in the entertainment industry. And then he meets this man that suddenly shows appreciation for his work, helps him get better, gets many more people to visit his show, to watch his show, and just basically put him out there, put a spotlight on him. And he suddenly feels like he's on top of the world, he can do anything that he wants to do, and with the help of this man, he's going to succeed in life. This is what this guy thought. And as the guy was getting deeper into this relationship with this man, he started to rely more on this man. And this man started to take advantage of that, giving him drugs and cigarettes, making him blank out for minutes and hours. And when the guy is blacked out, this guy rapes him. He rapes him, he forces himself on him, he touches him ambiguously. And the guy would wake up feeling something is wrong, but could not put his finger on it, could not explain it. But when he came aware of the fact that he was being raped, he could not leave that situation. He could not run. He even went back there because he felt like he needed something from that man. So you can see, even though you can say physically this man could have fought back from being raped, how could he be able to resist drugs that knocked him out, drugs that could wipe his memory or alter his memory? And as the guy was raped, it affected him. When he went back home to his girlfriend, he could not get aroused enough for his girlfriend. He could not touch his girlfriend, could not do anything with her. Their sex life basically was ended and destroyed. And it started to affect him psychologically and also physically. That ended his relationship with that lady, and the guy kind of moved on, just wading through life with that trauma he had from that experience, which he was not able to resolve. And he then met another woman, and when this woman assaulted him, he could not fight back because he felt himself being thrown back to that same situation that he was before. And he just allowed the woman to assault him till she left him. So there are many men in the world who have faced sexual assault from both men and women. Think about the cases of older men who are coming out to say they have been abused by pastors or priests in the church when they were younger, but they could not come out to say it because they were scared if anyone could believe them. Because even when women come out to talk about them being sexually assaulted, many people do not believe them, right? They see them as liars trying to bring the men down. So talk less of a man who we think is someone who is like at the top of the hierarchy, who should not be assaulted, who even the idea of rape should be so distant to his identity, come out to say I was raped. They won't want to believe that, or they will trivialize it or flip the script and say you were not raped. And these men, although not directly victim blamed, get victim blamed. And it's so sad. Yes, older men do not get sexually assaulted often, but it happens nonetheless. and is as traumatic for these men as it is for the women. And the part that is quite saddening actually is for the young boys, for the children, for the teenagers who are not able to fight back, who don't even have the power to fight back when this is happening to them. Think of, even also in a way our society tries to, make men get into this mindset that whatever a woman does to you, no matter how old she is, does to you sexually, should be accepted, because it's not a bad thing if a woman is doing it to you, so you should just accept what the woman is doing and just go along with it. So you can see an older woman calling a boy of 5 years old her husband, picking him up and putting him on her lap, kissing him, touching him, suggestively. And if the boy by chance gets hard, laugh at him and keep on playing with him that way. And no one stops this woman, and she gets to do what she's doing and move on with her life without being accused of being pedophilic. Now, she put the word on it. There are women out there who are pedophilic, right? But in a way, there's a double standard in our society that, okay, women are natural caregivers, therefore they can't really harm a child. And that is the kind of, guys that many of all these pedophilic women move under and avoid getting called out and stopped. And then, when a boy is in his teenage years and he's just full of hormones and trying to understand himself and sex, and then there's this older girl or older woman out there who takes advantage of him. Rape is not always forceful. Rape is not always the way you see it in Nollywood or Hollywood or whatever wood you watch, where the guy chases the woman and the woman falls on the ground and he suddenly pins her down and just gets his way with her. No. Yes, there are some instances of rape like that, but typically men don't face that form of rape. Maybe there are cases like that. I'm not aware of those, but they might exist. However, typically women or even men who are trying to rape other men typically don't go for forceful measures. They try to subdue the men to have little fights as possible, by giving them drugs or some kind of hallucinogenic to just calm them down. And there are also cases of when men get raped where the guy is drunk and then the guy doesn't know what's going on, and there's another guy that's around there at the time, or a lady, and it's opportune to take him home, and then they have sex. But that's actually rape. In a way, our media glamorizes it. Rape sex. When a woman is drunk and she gets raped, the conversation around that is quite fiery, because that woman is drunk, she's inebriated, she could not give consent, her mind was not in the right place to give consent. So even though she comes at you sexually, you as a man are expected to not have sex with her. But if you are, as a guy, you are drunk, right, and a woman or a man takes advantage of that to have sex with you, it's not seen as rape. It's just seen as something that you wanted, that your drunkenness just brought out the real part of you. Can you see how all of this is playing out? And like I mentioned in that series of the baby reindeer, how this boy was traumatized. He could not have a normal relationship with women anymore, basically, and he was doubting his whole existence and identity, and he was dealing with suicidal ideation. He wanted to commit suicide. He wanted to leave this world. So also are there many men out there in the world and young boys who have been sexually assaulted and raped, and they're aware of this fact and they can't come out to say it. They can't share their experience with anyone because men trivialize it. Men kick them away, because if they actually show the effects of the traumatic effects of this rape on them, they suddenly look weak to other men, and then they are kicked out. And I won't blame women, that women are not taking these men in or jumping behind these men's causes, because women have a lot they are dealing with. And it should be upon the men to take up these situations and call it out and provide a safe space for these men to express themselves and heal. But oftentimes, especially on social media, when we're not talking about rape, bringing up the statistics of rape, what men do in the comment section, or what men talk about typically, is that, well, men get raped too, but we don't hear you guys saying anything about it. What should they say about it? They are women who are talking about rape committed against women. You are men, and people who are supposedly of your gender are being raped. Yet you do nothing for them. You shun them, you trivialize their experiences, and then you only just raise the question, you raise the issue of when people are talking about female rape. That's not the way this goes. These men are traumatized. These boys are defeated. They are broken. They are dealing with too many fucked up shit in their head that they don't know what else they can do. And these men go into the world sad, angry, unfulfilled, feeling unjust. I might take out this anger on women. There might even be men out there who, because they've been raped, think it's right to go around raping other women. So there's so much bitterness and trauma in these men, in these young boys. There's so much of it, and they need to heal. These men go so long in their lives that they don't go to therapy, they don't speak to anyone about it, they keep all of this bottled up till it becomes so much hate and bitterness in them. And that is not right. As men, we should do better by these men. And I understand this is due to the idea of masculinity to not express your emotions, to keep things locked and hidden, to always push through life as if you're like, Godzilla or King Kong. You're untouchable, impenetrable. You can do whatever you want. You can fight whatever obstacles, bring them down that come your way. You can just do everything you want, and you're just a man. Because the more suffering you go through and you overcome, our society sees that as you becoming a man. So if, let's say, you survived a very traumatic event, someone will just come and tell you that's what makes you a man now. Why is it that pain and suffering is what makes a man? Everyone goes through that, but why is it that a prerequisite for becoming a man, for growing up as a man, is for you to suffer, and your suffering not being acknowledged or not being tried to be alleviated? It honestly hurts me. It just strikes straight to my heart when I am aware of men, boys that have been raped. Because when I see these men on screen and they're talking about their stories, and you can see the tears in these men's eyes, the longing for them to be able to express this in a safe space, for them to be able to, have a support system around them. And I just feel so saddened about this. I feel like I should be there for them, to be there to listen to them or to hold their hand. It's not every time that you have to put these guardrails around men for them to be tough. Men need softness in their life. They need love. They need care. So why make men this way? Why do this to men? Why do this to our boys, to our child? Why can't we be more loving of them? Why is it that when the male child is growing, we take our attention from them and just focus it on the female, on the girl child, and then let the boy run around? Because that is a boy, nothing can happen to the boy. He's going to grow up to become a man. But then the girl, put so much attention on her that you shape her life into some form of, conflicted existence, and then you have the boy out there who you're not giving him the best guidance in life into becoming a better man. Rather, you're just going to kick the boy straight into the world to figure things out himself. And then you wonder how our boys turn out to be bitter young men, angry young men. That is not right. We can't keep existing in a society where our men are hurt, traumatized, and then we don't have days where we can just come around and sit and talk to them, listen to their struggles, their pain. And it's always so frustrating when I see a group of men seated, and when they are talking about their struggles, rather than these men coming about solutions to alleviate these struggles, this pain, this suffering, they just cheer each other on for going through the most pain and suffering. What the hell is that? Why have we glamorized pain, suffering, trauma in the existence of a man, of a boy growing, when we can have an existence for the boy child where things are soft, easy, free flowing? It's not always that we should expect our boy child to just grow up to become perfect, or a perfect mold of what society wants the boy to be. Men get assaulted. On a daily, a man could just be walking through, a place, maybe at work or whatever, and he gets touched on his chest, on his arm, on his abdomen, close to his crotch, on his ass. These things happen to men, but they ignore it or just push through like that was nothing, whereas it isn't. We should also prioritize consent for men. Consent for men. Men can also consent and not give their consent to things. And I really appreciate the women who are raising the discussion around male rape and are trying to help, because women are still the ones who are pushing the frontiers of this discussion, and they are welcoming of men who have been hurt by this. But there's only so much women can do for men. Men should also come around, create organizations, foundations for the boy child, for teenagers, for teenage boys, for young men. Create some mental health resources for these young men. Wasn't it of recent we had the International Boys Day? And honestly, I never knew there was an International Boys Day until I saw it on someone's status when they posted it on WhatsApp. I never knew there was. I knew of the International Girls' Day, right? Or Women's International Day. I know of all these, women days or months or organizations or movements to help women, because women advocate for it, women clamor for it. But when it comes to days or situations or issues where men ought to be at the forefront talking about it, that these are issues that men face. We want this, we want that for men. Men are nowhere to be seen. The hypocrisy shows. It's only when women have issues that these men come out to talk. But when it's time to address the issues men have, the issues that need solving, these men are absent because men are suffering. So what? Men should just take it on, and it's just going to be another day for them. That's sad. And I'm saddened for the situation. I'm saddened for the men, for the boys. We are failing them. We are failing our young men. We are failing the boys. We are failing our adults. There is so much pain, suffering, hate, vitriol, bigotry in the world. There is so much of it. It's It's in the air, it's choking, it's in our blood. So much of it. Why go on with this? Why not welcome people, open our arms to see that even if you are weak, even if there are situations that break you, there are people around that will love you, that will welcome you, that will accept you, that will help you heal. We always say, what doesn't break you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I don't believe that. To me, what doesn't kill you leaves you with scars, leaves you traumatized, leaves you always in the process of healing, leaves you running away from the death that almost got you. And there's going to be a time when you can't be able to escape death. You can't escape the breaking, the suffering anymore, and you just get taken, and then you're gone. You see men going for violent means to end their lives, and you kind of wonder what happened to them. But then there are many things that happen to that boy, to that teenage boy, to that young man, to that adult, many things that have happened to him. But then there's no avenue for him to talk about it. Male relationships are not so tight-knit, are not so close that they can share this situation. Because if a woman is raped, she can talk to her friends about it, call a girls' meeting, cry in each other's arms, band up together, go to the police station. They can do many things together. But if a man is raped, he keeps it to himself because he's so ashamed of telling his fellow bros. His bros might tell him to keep shut about it, might trivialize it. And there are men who have tried talking about their situation but then were kicked back into the closet to keep shut about it. You are not to talk about it. Because it's kind of like bizarre to hear about a man being raped. But men can be raped. Men are raped. Young boys are raped. A man's arousal towards the advances of a woman raping him doesn't mean he enjoyed the sex or he wanted the sex or he needed the sex. Our body is not our mind. Our mind is not our body. I have gone on for too long, and I want to round this up by saying that to all the young men and adult men, I hope, who are listening in to this podcast, that I see you, I feel you, I hear you. I know you are hurt. I know you feel like you've been failed by the people around you, your family, your society, your friends. I know that feeling. I understand it. And it's in no way your fault. The pain you feel, the anger, the rejection, the loss, the helplessness and hopelessness, everything, I understand you. But understanding is not enough. You need someone to talk to, someone to share this with, someone to open up your heart to. And the advice I'll give, because it starts from the little things. Surround yourself with loving friends. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. Get rid of that notion that men and women can't just be friends. No. Get friends that love you, that protect you and cherish you, and be friends with them. Friends that you can bear your heart out to, that you can talk to about things, that you can share your deepest, most intimate secrets with. People that will listen to you and love you and help you through things. And be the agent of change. Begin to create these, communities, these groups to support other men. Like a famous quote I heard somewhere, that Be the change that you seek in the world. Be the change that you seek in the world. And that has stuck with me always. It's kind of like when you go to a library or you try and find a book to read. Again, like you kind of have the image of the book you want to read in your mind, but you can't find that book anywhere. And then someone comes up to you saying that, then you go write that book. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but I want you to help yourself and help the younger boys around you. Because we as the young men now are going to become older, but there are younger boys, right, that are years younger than us. When they come to us for help, when they talk to us, we should not shun them, we should not trivialize their experience. We should sit and listen, empathize with them. And maybe this way, from one young adult man to a younger boy, from generation to generation, we're going to change things. We're going to create the change in the world that we want to see. Please, listening to this, I want you in no way to attack women or think that I have an antagonistic view towards women. No, I appreciate them and the work they are doing for other sexually assaulted women. And so we should create this work for them. We should not make it a competition between male assault and female sexual assault. No, that is ridiculous. Rather, we should help each other and point out the bad crops, the bad apples amongst us that commit this heinous crime against these young men and women, taking away their consent, their human autonomy. And I hope that in the midst of the darkness and the pain and the loss that the world is mired in, that we can be the light at the end of the tunnel to have a world that we will be proud to live in. Thank you once more for listening in, for tuning in. I would love to see your comments. Maybe send me an email or something. It warms my heart to have you listening to me, and I love you. I love you from the depths of my heart for sparing your time, for listening, for trying to understand. And if you're a young man out there who have been hurt sexually, please reach out to me or reach out to someone you know you can talk to. Let's not bring more hate and pain and anger into the world. Although it's dramatic, let's not repeat the cycle. Hurt people should not hurt people. They should heal. The world needs healing. Thank you. Until we see, or rather, till we meet virtually again, for you to hear one more of my rants or one more of my talks. So this is always the Phoenix, and thank you for listening once more. Good day.